The high achiever's identity crisis, why your output is killing your worth. You've been told your value comes from what you ship, how much you grind, and the numbers you hit. But tying your self-worth to output guarantees burnout and eventually failure. Here, why you feel empty after every win, why the next goal never fixes it, and what to do instead. In the next hour, I'll show you the identity trap high achievers fall into, how the performance society amplifies it, and a science-backed way out. We'll use self-determination theory to rebuild motivation, and self-compassion training to break the shame cycle. Stay for the technique that flips your internal scorecard. The high achiever's identity trap, why this hurts so much. If you've ever hit a goal on Friday and felt worthless on Monday, you're in the identity trap. The trap sounds like this. If I perform, I'm enough. If I slow down, I disappear. It works short term. You push harder, you over-deliver, you get the hit. But your brain quietly learns a rule: love is leased, not owned. That rule is unsustainable. The thing most people miss is the mechanics. When your worth rides on output, your motivation shifts toward extrinsic drivers: scores, status, praise, avoidance of shame. That can work for routine or compliance tasks, but research shows it undermines creativity, persistence, and long-term engagement once rewards or pressure are removed. This clicked for me when a client hit 3 promotions in 4 years and still felt like a fraud. Their performance went up, their joy didn't. Because the scoreboard kept moving. Before we continue, you need to understand the shame cycle. It's simple. Set an inflated standard, grind to meet it, feel brief relief, then raise the bar and punish yourself for any underperformance. The more you win, the more you fear losing the identity of winner. So you start self-protective moves, over-prepping, procrastination, self-handicapping, to guard your worth if you fail. It looks like discipline from the outside. It's fear management inside. Now here's where most people mess up. They assume more output is the antidote to anxiety. But anxiety here is a feature, not a bug. In a performance-first culture, everything is scored: likes, views, OKRs, even steps per day. Your life turns into a permanent evaluation. That's the performance society. The audience isn't just at work, it's everywhere all the time. When evaluation is omnipresent and standards are shifting, your nervous system rarely gets to power down. Less offstage, less recovery. The reason this hurts high achievers more is identity fusion. Your roles and yourself become the same thing. I am my results. When a metric dips, you don't think that campaign underperformed. You think I underperformed as a person. That collapse turns normal variance into existential threat. And when everything feels existential, rest feels like risk. So you keep moving to avoid shame. This next part separates beginners from pros. Pros build from self-determination theory's 3 needs: autonomy, competence, relatedness. When these needs are supported, intrinsic motivation and internalized forms of extrinsic motivation strengthen, curiosity, persistence, creativity rise. When they're thwarted by control, constant judgment, and isolation, you default to controlled motivation. The trap: high achievers often get competence feedback only through external metrics. They lose autonomy to relentless urgency and relatedness to transactional relationships built around output. Your needs starve while your numbers climb. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. Say you crush a quarter. You get praise, a bonus, more scope. Sounds great, but scope reduces autonomy if you can't choose how to execute. Visibility increases evaluation pressure. New stakeholders dilute relatedness into politics. Competence becomes prove it again. Your brain encodes safety equals sprinting. That's a fragile system. Now, common mistake: trying to fix this with better routines. You optimize mornings, stack habits, and still feel hollow. Because you're improving the engine that runs on the wrong fuel. If you remember nothing else, extrinsic fuel burns fast and hot, intrinsic fuel burns steady and clean. You need a fuel switch, not a speed boost. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches: the identity buffer. It's a 2-line separation between self-worth and performance. My worth is inherent. My work is a skill I practice. That buffer lets you evaluate outcomes without self-condemnation. It's not fluff. It's the precondition for risk-taking, learning, and creative resilience. Without the buffer, feedback feels like a verdict. With it, feedback is data. You might be thinking, isn't self-compassion just letting myself off the hook? Research shows self-compassion increases persistence by reducing fear-based avoidance and rumination, and it moderates burnout by lowering self-criticism. When you remove the threat to your worth, you can engage with hard problems longer, with less defensive behavior. The result? More deliberate practice, fewer boom-bust cycles. Microstory: last month, a founder I coach agreed to one rule: separate identity from output whenever reviewing metrics. They would say out loud, data, not a diagnosis. In 3 weeks, they stopped doom-scrolling dashboards at midnight, slept better, and shipped a bolder feature. The difference? They weren't negotiating for permission to exist before pushing deploy. And boom, here's your quick win you can try today. Write your current rule on a sticky note: I'm worthy when I produce. Cross out when I produce. Read what's left. Sit with the discomfort. That discomfort is the trap loosening. Next, list 3 ways you'll meet the needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness this week that aren't tied to metrics. Choose one thing, practice one skill, have one non-transactional conversation. Once you nail that buffer, everything else clicks. You can still set big goals, but your self-worth isn't up for auction every time the graph moves. That's how you get sustainable ambition instead of perpetual depletion. The science: intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, SDT in plain English. Before we change anything, let's make the fuel map obvious. Self-determination theory, SDT, says humans run best when 3 needs are met: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Think of them as oxygen, nutrition, and sleep for motivation. When they're supported, you get more intrinsic drive, doing the thing because the doing is rewarding, curiosity, mastery, meaning, and you more readily internalize necessary extrinsic demands. When they're starved, motivation shifts toward more controlled forms of extrinsic fuel: rewards, status, fear of punishment, avoiding shame. The thing most people miss is that extrinsic motivation isn't all the same. SDT puts it on a spectrum. On the far end is external regulation. You do it because someone will reward you or punish you. Move a little inward and you hit introjected regulation. You've internalized the pressure, so you're doing it to avoid guilt or to feel worthy in your own eyes. That's the perform or disappear voice. Go further and you reach identified regulation. You see value in the task. It aligns with your goals. And near intrinsic is integrated regulation. The task coheres with your identity and values, even if parts of it aren't fun. Finally, intrinsic motivation is interest and enjoyment in the activity itself. Why does this matter to high achievers? Because living at the external and introjected end predicts more tension, less creativity, and fragile persistence. You can sprint on fear, but you can't build a season on it. When you operate from identified or integrated regulation, you're still productive, but the engine runs smoother longer and with fewer defensive behaviors. Let me back up and make this concrete. Autonomy is the felt sense of choice and authorship. You might not pick the deadline, but you can choose the approach, the order, the constraints you accept. Competence is the experience of getting better through feedback and challenge at the right level of difficulty. Relatedness is feeling connected, seen, and respected by people who matter to you in the work. When any one of these is chronically blocked, motivation slides down the spectrum toward control. Now here's where performance culture sneaks in. The constant scoreboard, metrics, likes, leaderboards, creates external regulation everywhere. Even your morning run is judged by a watch. Add omnipresent comparison and you get introjection. If I don't hit X, I'm not enough. That's the shame cycle dressed up as standards. The environment is teaching your nervous system that safety equals compliance, not curiosity. The reason SDT is so useful is it gives you a diagnostic. Feeling stuck? Check autonomy. Do I have meaningful choice? If not, can I create micro-choice, sequence, method, boundaries? Check competence. Is this too hard or too easy? Can I add training wheels or increase the challenge slightly to hit that sweet spot? Check relatedness. Am I doing this with or for people I actually care about? Can I add a quick touch point that makes the work human again? Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. You don't have to love the whole task to access intrinsic fuel. You only need to shift the regulation one notch toward internalization. Turn I have to into I choose to because. That moves you from external to identified. Attach the task to a value you endorse, craft, service, learning, and you move toward integrated. It won't make email thrilling, but it will strip out a lot of pressure and restore momentum. Let me show you exactly how with a quick example. You've got a deck due in 24 hours. External regulation sounds like, my boss needs this or I'm toast. Introjected sounds like, if it's not perfect, I'm a fraud. Identified sounds like, this deck clarifies thinking, clarity helps the team execute. Integrated sounds like, I'm the kind of leader who communicates ideas simply. Now add autonomy, pick the narrative arc first. Add competence, use a template you've mastered. Add relatedness, schedule a 10-minute check-in with a trusted peer for feedback. Same deadline, different engine. Common mistakes to avoid, chasing intrinsic motivation like a mood. Intrinsic isn't a vibe, it's a byproduct of need support. Also, trying to bribe yourself into flow with ever bigger rewards. That can backfire by crowding out interest. And finally, conflating autonomy with isolation. Autonomy is choice, not doing everything alone. If you remember nothing else, meet autonomy, competence, and relatedness on purpose, and your motivation self-corrects toward the internal end. When you don't, you'll keep compensating with pressure and performance theater. The identity buffer we built earlier lets you do this without tying your worth to the outcome. You can still care deeply about the work. Now it's driven by values and craft, not fear of vanishing when the graph dips. The Performance Society, why your worth feels public. Now let's zoom out to the water we're all swimming in. You're not broken, you're reacting to a culture that turned life into a scoreboard. The Performance Society makes worth visible, comparable, and nearly constant. It's not just quarterly reviews. It's follower counts, likes, read receipts, step goals, sleep scores, and dashboards for everything. The message your nervous system keeps getting is, you're always being evaluated. Here's the thing most people miss. Evaluation used to have boundaries. You'd perform at work, then you'd go offstage. Today, there's no offstage. Technology blurred it. Your inbox is a pocket portal to pressure. Your watch grades your rest. Even hobbies become content. The audience never leaves and the standards keep shifting. That's why you feel like you can't relax, because somewhere something is measuring you. Before we continue, you need to see how this warps motivation. When performance is omnipresent, you default to external regulation more often. The environment trains you to chase visible signals because that's what gets reinforced. You post, you get a dopamine hit. You refresh, you brace for judgment. That loop entrenches introjection. I must prove I'm enough. Over time, your sense of self migrates from inside out to outside in. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to outdiscipline an ecosystem problem. You set stricter routines, you optimize recovery, but optimization is still performance. The platform still owns your attention. The scoreboard still sets the tempo. You're swimming against a current. Without structural tweaks, you'll keep blaming yourself for stress the system generates. Let me show you exactly how this shows up at work. Ambiguous goals plus real-time analytics equals permanent uncertainty. You're evaluated on outcomes you partly control, through metrics that lag, in a context that rewards visibility more than value. So you shift from doing the work to performing the work, updates, optics, responsiveness theater. It looks productive. It drains autonomy and relatedness. Your SDT needs starve in plain sight. The game changer nobody talks about is evaluation bandwidth. Your brain can only process so much judgment before it flips into self-protection. That's when you start playing not to lose, safe choices, overcorrection, perfectionism. Creativity drops because exploration feels dangerous under constant surveillance. Remember, intrinsic motivation needs a sandbox, room to try, fail, and iterate without identity on the line. The Performance Society shrinks the sandbox to a tightrope. Microstory, a designer I coached kept shipping safe iterations. Not because they lacked skill, but because every concept review was live-streamed to a crowded Slack with emoji scoring. We moved reviews to small groups, turned off reactions, and delayed public sharing until version 3. Within 2 cycles, risk-taking returned. Same talent, different stage. Autonomy and relatedness back online, competence rediscovered through practice, not performance. You might be thinking, but my industry runs on metrics. True. The fix isn't abandoning measurement, it's reclaiming where, when, and why you're measured. Boundary your audience. Create offstage zones, private drafts, untracked sprints, no analytics windows. Delay exposure until you're ready for constructive feedback. This isn't hiding, it's gardening. Seeds don't sprout under stadium lights. Common mistakes to avoid: mistaking transparency for accountability. Radical visibility sounds noble, but if everything is public, people optimize for optics. Next, conflating speed with value. Real expertise often looks slow because it includes exploration. Finally, letting platforms define your priorities. If an algorithm sets your agenda, you risk outsourcing autonomy to code. Here's a practical lever. Redefine success criteria upstream. Tie outcomes to identified values, craft, clarity, service before you open a dashboard. Then schedule evaluation intentionally, not continuously. Weekly review beats daily refresh. Add a human buffer, a trusted peer review before the public one to satisfy relatedness and calibrate competence safely. Those 3 moves expand intrinsic fuel even in a metric-heavy context. If you remember nothing else from this section, the performance society hijacks attention and compresses identity by making everything a performance. Your counter is design. Design moments with no audience. Design feedback that feeds competence, not anxiety. Design relationships where you're more than your latest graph. And one quick win you can try today: turn off 3 non-critical notifications, hide like counts for a week, and move 1 review out of a public channel. Then, write a 50-word why for your most important task, identified regulation on paper. You'll feel your system exhale. That's not laziness. That's oxygen for intrinsic drive. Self-worth theory, the failure avoidance loop. Before we shift into solutions, you need to see the engine under the shame cycle, self-worth theory's failure avoidance loop. It explains why smart, driven people do self-sabotaging things right when it matters most. The loop starts with a fragile contract. My value equals my wins. Under that rule, failure isn't data, it's humiliation. So you organize your behavior to prevent failures from touching your identity. Here's the loop in plain English. First, you raise the stakes. This has to be perfect. That spikes anxiety. Second, to escape the threat, you adopt protective strategies, overprepping, procrastination, last-minute sprints, or setting absurd goals. Third, whatever happens, you protect your narrative. If you succeed, you're safe for a minute. If you fall short, you point to the handicap. I started late, scope changed, didn't really try. That preserves worth but kills growth. Then the bar goes up again, and the cycle repeats with more tension and less learning. The thing most people miss is why these strategies feel rational. If worth is on the line, it's safer to fail with an excuse than to try wholeheartedly and face a clean loss. That's self-handicapping. It looks like chaos, but it's actually a defense of self-esteem. In academic settings, this shows up as perfectionism and avoidance. In leadership, it becomes optics and over-control. Either way, you trade skill development for ego insurance. Let me show you exactly how it surfaces at work. A manager with a big presentation delays drafting the narrative, then pulls an all-nighter. If it lands, they're a hero. If it doesn't, fatigue is the reason identity protected. Or a founder sets a moonshot timeline no one can hit. If they miss, the timeline gets blamed, not their strategy. These aren't discipline problems, they're worth protection strategies. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to fix failure avoidance with harsher standards. More push, tighter timelines, louder self-talk. That doubles down on the threat and strengthens the loop. Pressure may increase output for a moment, but it cements introjected motivation, doing the task to quiet guilt. As SDT research shows, that type of motivation is tense and brittle. Creativity and persistence drop because exploration feels dangerous. Before we continue, you need a simple model to disarm the loop. I use ABCD. Assume worth, build skill, choose exposure, debrief. Assume worth means you pre-decouple identity. My worth is non-negotiable. Without that premise, your nervous system will keep negotiating. Build skill means you pick the narrowest slice to practice, so competence grows and anxiety shrinks. Choose exposure means you step into measured risk where the feedback is about the work, not your value. Debrief means you extract lessons fast, without moralizing. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches: time-boxed, wholehearted effort. Commit to a 60-90-minute window where you try with no exit hatch, no hedging, no doom scroll, no performative busyness. If you win, great. If you miss, you still win because you get clean signal on your current level. Clean signal is the antidote to self-handicapping. It feeds competence, which reduces anxiety in the next round. Common mistakes to avoid: calling procrastination motivation because the deadline finally moved you. That's adrenaline, not mastery. Treating perfectionism as standards. Perfectionism is fear wearing a suit, and confusing visibility with vulnerability. Oversharing your stress doesn't equal taking a real learning risk. Micro story: an engineer I coached kept saving features with heroic weekend pushes. We swapped heroics for the ABCD loop. They assumed worth before stand-up, scoped a single tricky function, chose a private code review before the team review, then debriefed in 5 minutes. 2 weeks later, they shipped on weekdays, no drama, and took on a gnarlier module. The difference? Clean effort, clean feedback, no identity negotiations. If you remember nothing else, failure avoidance isn't laziness, it's a worth protection algorithm. Replace it by guaranteeing worth upfront, then designing for skill signals, not ego insurance. That's how you turn every attempt, win or loss, into fuel. Identity shift 1. From conditional worth to needs-based worth, SDT core. Let's flip the core rule that's been running your life. Conditional worth says, I'm okay when I hit targets. Needs-based worth says, I'm worthy, period, and I work better when my core needs are fed. This isn't semantics. It's a complete change in how you generate energy, make decisions, and recover after misses. Without this shift, every tactic becomes another way to audition for belonging. Here's the foundation. Your worth is not a variable. It's the constant you set before the experiment. The variables are your needs: autonomy, competence, relatedness. When those three are supported, your motivation moves toward identified and integrated regulation, work you choose because it aligns with your values and identity. You still care about outcomes, but you're not bargaining for self-respect with every deliverable. Why this matters right now: conditional worth keeps your nervous system in negotiation mode. Every task carries a hidden question: will this make me enough? That background negotiation burns cognitive bandwidth and pulls you into avoidance or perfectionism. Needs-based worth removes the negotiation. You start from enough, then ask cleaner questions. What choice increases autonomy? What scope builds competence? What touchpoint restores relatedness? Better inputs, better outputs, without the shame tax. Let me make it concrete with a quick framework you can deploy today. AIR, assume worth, insert needs, review data. Assume worth. Start the day with a single line: my worth is settled. Say it like a decision, not a mantra. This sets the constant. You're not hyping yourself up, you're removing a false variable. Insert needs. For each meaningful task, pick a lever for each SDT need. Autonomy lever: what can I choose? Sequence, method, constraints, time box, or definition of good enough. Competence lever: what's the right stretch? One micro skill, a template, a standard, or a fast feedback loop. Relatedness lever: who's my human? A collaborator, a peer reviewer, a stakeholder I care about, or a user story that reconnects the work to people. Review data. After you execute, separate evaluation into 2 columns: outcomes and needs. Outcomes: what happened? Needs: how supported did I feel? 110 for autonomy, competence, relatedness. If outcomes lag but needs are improving, you're building a durable engine. If outcomes pop while needs tank, you're sprinting on fumes. Adjust now, not after the crash. Now here S where most people mess up. They try to earn needs. I'll give myself autonomy once I prove I can handle it. That's conditional worth in disguise. Needs are inputs, not rewards. Give yourself autonomy in ways that are appropriate to the risk. Micro choice is still autonomy. Give yourself competence by narrowing the practice slice. Give yourself relatedness through intentional check-ins, not performative updates. The thing that clicked for a client last quarter was this sentence: needs are the prerequisites for standards. They'd been using standards as a whip, assuming the whip would produce excellence. It produced tension. When we flipped it, feed autonomy, competence, relatedness first, their standards stopped feeling like threats and started feeling like a craft. Same bar, different body. Let me show you exactly how to apply this on a deadline. You have 4 hours to deliver a strategy memo. Conditional worth script: if this isn't brilliant, I'm exposed. You react with either over-research or delay. Needs-based script: my worth is fixed. The job is clarity. Autonomy: choose a 2-page limit and a 3-part structure. Competence: draft the problem statement first, then a single forcing function, then the trade-offs. Relatedness: schedule a 10-minute readout with a trusted partner before you send. You'll write faster because you've removed self-judgment and added design for the needs that produce clear thinking. Common mistakes to avoid: treating autonomy as total freedom. Autonomy is authorship. Constraints you choose are still autonomy. Self-chosen constraints often unlock flow. Confusing competence with praise. Competence is a felt sense of effectiveness. You build it through calibrated challenge and short feedback loops, not applause. Replacing relatedness with visibility. Visibility is exposure. Relatedness is connection. Optimize for one human who cares, not a crowd that scores. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Pre-commit a needs baseline for tough weeks. Write it down. Autonomy baseline. Protect 2 choice windows per day, 1 task you pick, 1 boundary you enforce. Competence baseline. 1 45-minute deep work block with a clear practice target. Relatedness baseline. 1 5-minute work human check-in, no agenda, just context and support. When chaos hits, you still meet the baseline. That keeps your engine from flipping back to fear. Micro story. A VP I coach was drowning in board prep. We ran air. They assumed worth, then inserted needs. They chose a narrative-first autonomy, rehearsed only the riskiest slide with a timer competence, and did a 5-minute alignment call with their COO relatedness. Review. Board Q&A went fine, but more importantly, their heart rate stayed steady. The engine held. Next meeting, they volunteered a bolder recommendation. That's the tell. Intrinsic fuel shows up as courage without theatrics. If you remember nothing else from this identity shift, set worth as a constant, not a prize. Then design your day to feed autonomy, competence, and relatedness on purpose. Your output improves because the person producing it isn't negotiating for the right to exist. Identity shift 2, from output goals to process identity. Now we shift how you see yourself. Output goals say, hit 10K, publish weekly, ship 12 features. Process identity says, I'm the kind of person who shows up for the practice that creates those results. It sounds subtle, but it changes everything. Your focus moves from outcomes you only partly control to behaviors you control today. That reduces anxiety, increases competence, and protects autonomy, exactly what SDT says fuels intrinsic motivation. Why this matters? Output goals amplify external evaluation and invite the shame cycle. Process identity anchors you in craft. Instead of did I win, you ask, did I practice the behavior that makes winning likely? That switch shrinks the gap between effort and feedback. You get daily wins from keeping faith with your process, independent of volatile metrics. Let me show you exactly how to make this practical with a 3-part framework. Define, design, defend. Define the identity in 1 sentence, present tense, behavior first. I'm a craft-driven leader who clarifies thinking daily. I'm an engineer who ships small, tested increments. I'm a creator who publishes useful ideas on schedule. Notice these aren't outcomes. They're commitments to behaviors that build competence. Design your minimum viable process, not your ideal day. Minimum viable means it holds under stress. Use the 3-2-1 rule. 3 non-negotiable behaviors that express the identity daily. 2 weekly rituals that compound skill. 1 monthly review to refine the system. For the creator identity, daily might be 30 minutes of idea capture, 45 minutes drafting, 10 minutes revising yesterday's piece. Weekly, publish 1 piece and collect feedback from 3 humans you respect. Monthly, review what resonated and update your topic map. That's a system you can run without negotiating your worth every time a post underperforms. Defend the process with boundaries that protect autonomy and relatedness. Autonomy, schedule protected blocks and define, done for today criteria. Relatedness, add a small accountability loop with 1 peer who cares about your craft, not your metrics. Competence, bake in fast feedback tiny tests, short reviews, quick iterations, so you feel progress without chasing applause. Now here's where most people mess up. They turn process into another performance. They build elaborate trackers and then judge themselves by checkboxes. Keep it human. The question is, did I fill the spreadsheet? Did I show up the way my identity requires? If you miss, you don't moralize, you adjust the design to fit reality. Process identity stays flexible on tactics and firm on principles. A quick mental model to keep you honest. Inputs, increments, improvements. Inputs, the time and attention you invest. You control these. Increments, the smallest deliverable you move forward today. Make it visible. Improvements, the 1 lesson you extract per session, written in a sentence. That triad hits SDT directly. Inputs honor autonomy, increments grow competence, improvements often emerge through relatedness. shared in a small circle for calibration. Let me give you a concrete example. Output goal: grow revenue by 40% this quarter. Process identity for a founder: I'm a builder who creates value conversations daily. Daily 3-2-1, 30 minutes prospect research, 30 minutes outreach, 30 minutes discovery calls. Weekly, 1 offer iteration session, 1 customer debrief. Monthly, pipeline and message review. You'll still track revenue, but your self-respect comes from honoring the daily behaviors, not the lagging metric. Common mistakes to avoid: overscope the daily. If it can't survive your worst Wednesday, it's not a process, it's a wish. Confuse variety with progress. Novelty is fun, but competence compounds through repetition with feedback. Outsource identity to a platform cadence. Algorithms change, your process should outlast them. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Pre-commit a 2-tier process. Tier A is your full routine. Tier B is your storm routine, the smallest version that still expresses your identity when chaos hits. For example, Creator Tier B, 5 bullets, 1 paragraph, publish a note. Engineer Tier B, 1 test, 1 refactor, 1 commit. Leader Tier B, 1 difficult conversation, 1 written decision, 1 thank you. Tier B keeps the streak, protects identity, and prevents the shame cycle from rebooting. Microstory: a product manager I coach kept slipping into launch theater. We rewrote their identity. I'm a PM who reduces uncertainty daily. Their 3-2-1, 20 minutes user notes, 20 minutes spec sharpening, 20 minutes risk removal. Weekly, 1 prototype test, 1 stakeholder synthesis. Monthly, roadmap pruning. 3 months later, cycle time dropped and their stress did too. They weren't chasing launches, they were practicing reduction of uncertainty. Results followed, but the win was steadier energy. If you remember nothing else, outcomes are receipts, process is identity. Choose the identity, design the smallest behaviors that prove it daily, and defend them with boundaries. That's how you stay ambitious without putting your worth on the scoreboard. Identity shift 3. Self-compassion as a performance tool, not a pity pass. Let's deal with the word most high achievers avoid: compassion. If your brain hears self-compassion and translates it to lower the bar, that's the shame cycle talking. Self-compassion isn't a pity pass. It's how you remove the identity threat so you can engage fully with the work. It's performance hygiene. Here's why it matters. When you're harsh on yourself, you spike threat. Threat narrows attention, triggers avoidance, and pushes you towards safe, predictable choices. That hurts learning and creativity. Research on self-compassion training shows it reduces burnout and self-criticism and increases psychological flexibility, the exact traits you need to persist through hard problems. Lower threat equals higher usable effort. The thing most people miss is that self-compassion has 2 modes: tender and fierce. Tender is kindness in the moment of struggle, no shaming, no catastrophizing. Fierce is protecting your time, energy, and values, boundaries, and wise action. Tender interrupts rumination, fierce directs behavior. Together, they convert "I'm not enough" into "I'm a human doing hard things" with a plan. Let me show you exactly how to use it with a 3-part protocol you can run under pressure. Noticing, normalizing, next move. Noticing, name the experience without drama. Tight chest, racing thoughts, urge to delay. You're labeling sensations and urges, not judging them. This separates you from the reaction so you can choose. Normalizing, speak to yourself like you would to a top performer you respect. Of course this feels heavy. Stakes are high and uncertainty is real. That line reduces isolation. You're not uniquely broken, you're human. The pressure drops enough for the prefrontal cortex to come back online. Next move, ask 1 compassion-guided question. What would help me do the next right piece well? Then pick the smallest courageous action that moves the work forward. Outline the first 3 bullets, write the ugly version, ask for a 10-minute calibration. That's fierce compassion, action aligned with values under realistic care. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to use compassion to feel good before they act. That flips it into mood management. Use compassion to act well while feeling human. You don't need comfort to start, you need lowered self-attack and clear steps. Comfort can follow. A quick mental model: KFP, kindness, framing, protection. Kindness, 1 sentence to yourself that's factual and supportive. This is hard, and I can handle hard with help. Framing, link the task to identified values. Clarity helps the team, craft matters to me. Protection, set a boundary that preserves energy. No slack for 45 minutes, calendar block holds. That triad maps to SDT. Kindness reduces tension so competence can grow. Framing restores identified regulation. Protection restores autonomy. You're rebuilding intrinsic fuel in real time. Micro story: a head of sales I coach was spiraling before a board call, palms sweaty, doom loop, drafting excuses. We ran noticing, normalizing next move. They named the sensations, normalized the stress, then chose the next right piece. A 2-minute story to open, 3 numbers, 1 risk, 1 ask. Call went smoothly, but the real win was afterward. They didn't crash. Compassion prevented the shame hangover, so they were back in the game an hour later. Let me give you a concrete practice you can install today: the 3-minute reset. Minute 1, breath and body. Inhale 4, exhale 6, 3 times. Drop your shoulders. Say, I'm allowed to be human here. Minute 2, write 2 lines. Line 1, value I'm serving is. Line 2, smallest next move is. Minute 3, boundary and start. Set a 20-30 minute timer. Close 1 app. Begin with the smallest move you wrote. Run that before reviews, big emails, or any task that triggers identity defense. You're not hyping yourself up. You're removing friction so competence can actually show up. Common mistakes to avoid: turning compassion into indulgence. I didn't feel like it. Compassion asks, what helps me honor my values now? Not what feels nice. Next, using compassion selectively, only after wins. You need it most when you miss. Finally, confusing self-compassion with self-esteem. Self-esteem is evaluation. Compassion is care plus action regardless of the evaluation. It's steadier. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Pre-write fierce compassion scripts for your frequent traps. Perfectionism script, version 1 teaches, ship ugly to learn. Procrastination script, avoidance amplifies pain, 5-minute start then decide. People-pleasing script, clarity is kindness, I'll say no cleanly and offer one alternative. Keep them visible. When the trigger hits, you're not inventing wisdom, you're retrieving it. If you remember nothing else from this shift, self-compassion isn't lowering standards. It's removing self-attack so standards become trainable. It feeds autonomy, competence, and relatedness in the moment you'd otherwise collapse into shame. Use it to take cleaner risks, recover faster, and keep your identity off the scoreboard while your craft gets better. The anti-burnout system: design your offstage. We've been talking about engines and fuel, now we design the garage. Offstage is where recovery, creativity, and courage regenerate. Without it, you're performing 24/7 and your nervous system never resets. This isn't about quitting goals. It's about architecture, deciding when you're a performer and when you're a person. Start with 3 levers: space, time, and audience. Space: create zones where there is no scoreboard. A private doc folder called Sandbox where early drafts live with no analytics. A physical spot: a chair, a cafe, a park, where you plan but don't check dashboards. Label it literally, offstage. Your brain anchors context. If everything happens everywhere, your body assumes you're always on. Time: install performance windows and recovery windows. Performance windows are when you invite evaluation on purpose: reviews, publishing, shipping. Recovery windows are when you produce without observers or rest without guilt. Use a rhythm like 2-1, 2 on-stage blocks, 1 off-stage build block, 0 analytics during the build. That simple cadence prevents constant evaluation creep. Audience: shrink who gets to see what and when. Early work deserves intimacy. Share version 1 with 1 trusted peer. Version 2 with a small circle. Only ship publicly at version 3. That expanding concentric circles model feeds relatedness and competence before exposure taxes your autonomy. Now here's the structure I give clients. Deep: design boundaries, establish rituals, engineer friction, protect recovery. Design boundaries. Write 2 do-nots and 2 do-s for your offstage. For example, do not open analytics before 11 a.m., do not reply instantly to non-urgent messages. Do: reserve a 45-minute sandbox block. Do: route public feedback through 1 channel. Boundaries aren't vibes, they're rules you can point to. Establish rituals. Rituals flip your brain from performance to practice. Start your offstage block with the same 60-second sequence. Close metrics, open Sandbox, write your top value for the session, pick the smallest next move. End with a 2-line debrief. What moved, what I learned. Repetition builds the association. This is where I build without judgment. Engineer friction against evaluation. Make the on-ramps to distraction expensive. Remove analytics widgets from your phone, hide like counts. Use site blockers during build blocks. Delay email fetch by 15 minutes. Friction buys you attention, which buys you autonomy. Protect recovery like it's part of the job, because it is. Recovery isn't Netflix while doom-scrolling Slack. It's activities that restore needs. Autonomy recovery, unstructured walks, hobbies with no score. Competence recovery, learning a micro skill for fun, not for a certificate. Relatedness recovery, time with people who don't care about your metrics. Block these like meetings. If it isn't on the calendar, performance culture tends to consume it. Let me show you a weekly template that actually holds under pressure. Monday, morning offstage build block, no metrics until noon. Afternoon, small circle feedback on version 1. Tuesday, on-stage window for stakeholder review. Offstage recovery walk after. Wednesday, deep build in Sandbox. Friction on no Slack, no email, no analytics. Thursday, second concentric circle share. Quick calibration call, micro skill practice for 30 minutes. Friday, publish window. Then full offstage afternoon, no dashboards, only debrief and next week priming. That plan honors SDT. Autonomy through control of timing and audience, competence through calibrated feedback, relatedness through intentional intimacy. You're still shipping, you're just not living under stadium lights. Common mistakes to avoid: calling everything urgent and blowing up your offstage. If everything's urgent, nothing is. Set a 2-tier urgency rule. Tier 1 breaks the block only if it's safety, legal, or a true blocker for someone else's work today. Tier 2 waits. Next, confusing secrecy with offstage. Offstage isn't hiding, it's sequencing exposure so learning can happen. Finally, optimizing offstage until it becomes another performance. Keep it simple and human. Quick win you can do today: remove one analytics shortcut, schedule one 45-minute Sandbox block tomorrow morning, and pick one person for intimate feedback on a messy draft. Then, after you ship this week, take a 2-hour no metrics window. Your nervous system will notice. That exhale? That's your engine getting stronger. Goals that don't hijack your worth, identified, integrated. Okay, so let's rebuild goals so they drive performance without renting your identity. We're aiming for identified and integrated goals. Goals you choose because they serve values and the kind of person you're becoming, not because a scoreboard says so. Start with this filter. By what value is this goal worth doing even if nobody claps? If you can't answer in one sentence, it's probably external or introjected. Here's the move. Write the goal, then write the value. Ship the new onboarding flow becomes reduce user friction because clarity is part of my craft. That's identified regulation. Add identity and you get integrated. I'm the kind of designer who reduces friction. This project is a proving ground. Now let me give you a structure that keeps goals clean and sturdy. VIM, value, identity, milestones. Value, one sentence that names why this matters beyond metrics. Craft, clarity, service, learning, stewardship. Pick one. Identity, one sentence that names the kind of person you're practicing. I'm a leader who makes decisions simple. Milestones, 3 checkpoints that are behavior-based, not vanity-based. Prototype tested with 5 users. Decision memo drafted and reviewed with 2 peers. Version 1 shipped behind a flag. You still track outcomes, but your success criteria lives in actions aligned to values. Here's where most goals hijack your worth: hidden audience and moving targets. So we add 2 constraints: private runway and fixed review cadence. Private runway means the goal lives offstage for the first 1 or 2 iterations. Fixed review cadence means you evaluate weekly against your milestones, not whenever anxiety spikes. That keeps autonomy and competence intact. Concrete example: external goal, hit 100K followers by Q4. Identified integrated rewrite. Publish one useful idea 3 times a week because teaching sharpens my thinking. I'm a teacher builder who helps people act. Milestones, Script 3 videos in Sandbox, share drafts with 2 trusted peers, publish 1 piece weekly, and collect qualitative feedback from 5 humans. Metrics become mirrors, not judges. You're practicing a craft identity, the numbers are receipts. The thing most people miss is scope. Goals that protect worth have a narrow core and expandable edges. The core is the non-negotiable behavior that expresses your value and identity. The edges are nice-to-haves that flex with reality. If you're sick or slammed, you still hit the core. That consistency builds competence and trust with yourself without moralizing. Let me show you a 5-question checklist before you lock a goal. Does this serve a value I endorse? Does it express the identity I'm building? Are the first 2 milestones behavior-based? Do I have a private runway for version 1? Is my review cadence scheduled and light? If you can't say yes to 4 out of 5, it's a booby-trapped goal. Now, common mistakes. First, importing company KPIs as personal identity goals. Company KPIs are coordination tools, not self-worth measures. Translate them into behaviors you control. Second, chasing prestige proxies, awards, titles without a values link. If you can't name the value, that goal will eat you. Third, perfection milestones like be respected or be seen as a thought leader. Respect is an outcome. Replace with actions that earn it, like publish useful ideas consistently, host monthly office hours, mentor 2 people. Here's a quick practice you can run in 10 minutes. Goal recode. Grab one current goal that feels heavy. Write it as is. Write the value sentence. Write the identity sentence. Replace the top-line metric with 3 behavior milestones. Add a 2-week private runway and a weekly 15-minute review. That's it. Watch how the tension drops because your brain now sees levers you can pull. Micro story: a founder came in with close $1.02 this quarter. We recoded it. Create value conversations daily because service and clarity are my game. I'm a builder seller who matches problems to honest solutions. Milestones: 10 discovery calls per week, 1 offer iteration session, 1 customer debrief, 2-week private runway on new messaging, weekly 20-minute review. They still tracked revenue, but their mood stopped whiplashing with the pipeline. Ironically, conversions rose because they stopped performing and started listening. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches: install a friction clause. For any goal, write 1 sentence about what you'll do when motivation dips. When I don't feel like writing, I'll do 5 bullets, then decide. That clause keeps autonomy alive and stops the shame spiral before it starts. If you remember nothing else, goals that don't hijack your worth are chosen for values, expressed as identity, and measured by behaviors you control. Make your metrics mirrors, not judges. Align your goals with who you're practicing to be, and your output will follow without your self-respect hanging in the balance. The failure protocol: turning losses into identity wins. Let's turn misses into fuel without feeding the shame cycle. You don't need a pep talk, you need a protocol. Here's the 5-step sequence I teach: ground, frame, signal, skill, share. Run it within 24 hours of any setback so it rewires fast. Ground: first 90 seconds. Calm your body to reclaim autonomy. Inhale 4, exhale 6, 5 rounds. Plant feet, drop shoulders, look around the room and name 5 objects. Say out loud, "My worth is settled, I'm processing data." You're flipping off threat so the prefrontal cortex can come back online. No analysis until your pulse drops. Frame: name the failure accurately and small. Our conversion dropped from 4.1% to 2.7% after the new hero. Not "I'm terrible at product." If you're vague, shame fills the space. If you're precise, your brain hunts causes, not culprits. Add 1 value sentence to anchor integrated motivation. We're learning to prioritize clarity over cleverness. Now you're aligned to craft, not punishment. Signal: extract the 1 clean signal before you chase a dozen theories. Ask, what changed? Target, timing, tactic, or test quality. Pick the strongest candidate and write a testable hypothesis in 1 line. Headline specificity likely reduced curiosity. Test benefit-led version. By forcing 1 signal, you stop spiraling into global self-judgment and move toward competence. Skill: choose the smallest skill upgrade that addresses the signal. If copy clarity is the issue, practice rewriting 5 headlines to a template. If your talk missed, practice the opening story 3 times on video. Timebox it to 45-90 minutes and measure the rep, not the result. That turns loss into training. Competence grows, which lowers future anxiety. That's the loop you want. Share, close the loop with relatedness and accountability. Share a 5-7 sentence debrief with one trusted peer. What happened, your hypothesis, the skill rep you did, and your next experiment. Ask for one note, not a pile. This makes the failure social in a healthy way and protects you from isolation, which is where shame festers. Now here, where most people mess up. They skip ground and jump to grind. They carry a jacked nervous system into analysis, then wonder why they catastrophize. Or they crowdsource blame in public channels, which collapses autonomy. Keep the first pass intimate. The public share can come after version 2 when you've got a cleaner story. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. You pitch a client and lose. Ground, breath, feet, line. Worth settled, this is data. Frame, client chose a vendor with deeper healthcare case studies. Signal, our examples were too generic for a regulated buyer. Skill, spend 60 minutes rewriting 2 case studies with compliance specifics and outcomes. Share, send a short debrief to your partner and book a 10-minute calibration with a healthcare PM. Next week's pitch improves because you train the right muscle, not your self-attack. Add 2 guardrails so this protocol sticks: time box and scope lock. Time box means you schedule a 30-minute failure protocol block on your calendar after any major review or launch, no slippage. Scope lock means you keep the analysis inside one page. If you spill beyond that, you're ruminating, not learning. A quick template you can paste into notes. Event, 1-sentence factual. Feeling, 3 words max. Value, which value you're serving. Signal, single hypothesis. Skill rep, the 45-90-minute upgrade. Next experiment, what you'll try next. Share, who gets the 5-sentence note. Common mistakes to avoid, turning the debrief into a defense memo. You're not performing innocence, you're extracting signal. Hunting for villains instead of variables. Blame freezes competence. And skipping the skill rep because you don't have time. The rep is the conversion moment. Without it, you just relive the loss. Microstory, a creator I coach had a video flop after a streak. We ran the protocol. Ground. Frame, title promise tactics, script delivered theory. Signal, mismatch. Skill, 60 minutes rewriting 3 intros to the why what how cadence. Share, sent me a 5-sentence debrief and a new hook. Next upload recovered. The win wasn't views, it was regaining authorship in 24 hours, not spiraling for a week. If you remember nothing else, failures become identity wins when you treat them as training data, not verdicts. Run, ground, frame, signal, skill, share. You'll leave each loss with more autonomy, more competence, and more connection, and that's a net gain even before the next result lands. Multi-domain application. Work, creative, fitness, relationships. Let's plug this into 4 domains so it's not theory, it's your week. Work, most workplaces reward optics, which feeds the shame cycle. We'll run Air Plus Deep to protect your engine. Start each morning with worth settled, then insert needs. Autonomy, pick one lever, sequence, scope, or a boundary like no metrics before 11. Competence, choose a micro skill for the day, clarifying problem statements, writing tighter subject lines, running cleaner stand-ups. Relatedness, 1 5-minute human check, in that isn't performative. Then design offstage blocks. 45 minutes in a Sandbox doc with analytics closed, followed by a 10-minute intimate feedback pass before anything goes public. Engineer friction against evaluation, mute non-critical pings, delay email fetch. Protect recovery with a post-review walk or a coffee with no work talk. When a deliverable misses, run the failure protocol. Ground, frame, signal, skill, share. You'll notice the panic curve flatten because you're getting clean signal and quick reps instead of identity negotiations. Creative, the Performance Society turns creativity into content. That kills exploration. We fix it with process identity and concentric circles. Identity, I'm a creator who practices useful ideas daily. Minimum viable process, 30 minutes idea capture, 30 minutes draft, 10 minutes revision. That's tier A, tier B on rough days, 5 bullets, 1 paragraph, publish a note. Offstage design. Version 1 lives in a private Sandbox folder with like counts hidden. Version 2 goes to 2 trusted peers for calibration. Version 3 ships. Add a weekly ritual, study one piece you admire and rewrite the hook in your voice, competence rep without metrics. Use self-compassion scripts where you usually stall. Perfectionism. Version 1 teaches, ship ugly to learn. Procrastination, avoidance amplifies pain. 5-minute start, then decide. Before publishing, run the 3-minute reset, breath, value sentence, smallest next move timer. This sequence keeps your autonomy intact and your attention on craft, not applause. Fitness, hustle turns training into atonement. We're shifting to integrated regulation. Train because you value vitality and stewardship of energy. Identity, I'm an athlete in training who builds capacity steadily. 3-2-1, 3 dailies, 10 minutes mobility, 20 minutes zone 2, 10 minutes strength basics. 2 weeklies, 1 skill session, tempo, form, 1 recovery session, stretch, sauna, long walk. 1 monthly review, adjust loads, celebrate consistency. Autonomy levers, choose training windows that match your energy curve. Pick modalities you enjoy enough to repeat. Competence, track only the behaviors you control, sets, form cues, recovery markers, not just PRs. Relatedness, find a buddy or a coach for a short check-in, not a leaderboard war. When you miss a workout, drop the shame loop with ground, then use the friction clause. When I don't feel like it, I'll do 5 minutes, then decide. Most days, 5 becomes 20. On storm weeks, run Tier B, 1 mobility circuit, 1 compound lift, 1 walk. No theatrics, just capacity. Relationships. If your worth is tied to output, you'll treat people like projects and yourself like a product. We're moving to connection as an input, not a reward. Identity. I'm a present partner friend who invests in small, honest moments. 3-2-1, 3 dailies, 1 uninterrupted meal or chat, 1 micro appreciation text, 1 5-minute state of us check-in. 2 weeklies, 1 shared activity with no phones, 1 deeper conversation with curiosity before problem solving, 1 monthly boundary or repair conversation if needed. Autonomy. Set devices aside during key windows. Protect a shared block on the calendar. Competence. Practice 1 micro skill per week. Reflective listening, clean requests, naming your need without blame. Relatedness. Schedule intimacy up front. Spontaneity is great, but design beats drift. When conflict hits, run noticing, normalizing, next move. Noticing, I'm tense, defensive. Normalizing, of course, long day, high stakes. Next move, let's take 10, then I want to hear you. Add a fierce compassion boundary. I'll talk about this, but not while we're sniping. Repair with the failure protocol light. Ground, frame the moment specifically, signal 1 pattern, skill 1 behavior change, share the intention. You build trust through small, consistent repairs, not grand gestures after long neglect. A quick cross-domain template to hold it all. Monday morning, run a 10-minute weekly air. Assume worth, insert 3 needs levers across work, creative, fitness, relationships, then pick 1 behavior milestone per domain. Midweek, do a 15-minute deep audit. Are boundaries holding? Rituals running? Enough friction against evaluation? Recovery protected. Friday, run a 20-minute failure protocol sweep on 1 miss from any domain and harvest 1 skill rep. That cadence keeps you practicing identity, not performing for worth. Remember, none of this asks you to want less. It asks you to fuel better. Meet autonomy, competence, and relatedness on purpose. Keep your worth fixed, design offstage, and your ambition stops eating you to prove you exist. You'll still chase big goals, now with an engine that lasts. Measurement without self-punishment, competence tracking. Let's make measurement useful again, without turning it into a referendum on your worth. The point of tracking is to feed competence, not shame. If you remember our SDT engine, competence grows through calibrated challenge and fast feedback. So we'll track what strengthens skill, not what inflames ego. Here's the shift: track behaviors and learning signals, not identity verdicts. Replace "was I good?" with "what did I practice, what did I ship, what did I learn?" That's competence tracking. It keeps you moving and keeps the nervous system out of courtroom mode. Use the triple S log: sessions, slices, signals. Sessions: did I show up for the practice block I committed to? Binary: yes or no. We're not grading quality here. We're reinforcing consistency, which builds trust in yourself. 1 checkbox per block. Slices: what micro skill did I work on? Make it specific and observable. Wrote 3 problem statements. Refactored 1 function for clarity. Drafted 2 hooks using the why, what, how rhythm. Micro skill slices give your brain credit for progress it usually ignores. Signals: what did the environment tell me? 1 line per session. Peer said the narrative clicked at slide 3. User hesitated on step 2. Heart rate dropped during Q&A after the story opener. Signals are data, not drama. They close the loop so tomorrow's slice is smarter. Now, once a week, run a 10-minute competence review. Ask 3 questions. What repeated slice got easier? That's your compounding skill. Where did struggle persist? That's your next calibration. What one experiment will I run next week to test a clearer slice? Notice what's missing. There's no scoreboard of self-worth. We're not averaging how good I am. We're mapping skill acquisition to practice and signal. Let me give you a concrete template you can copy into notes. Daily. Session 45M Sandbox block, YN. Slice, micro skill practiced, 1 sentence. Signal, 1 line of feedback or observation. Weekly. Easier slice. Sticky slice. Next experiment. Now here's where most people mess up. They log outcomes only, views, revenue, approvals, and call it tracking. Outcomes matter, but they lag and they're noisy. If you make them the primary metric, you'll yo-yo emotionally and abandon practices right before they compound. Keep outcomes as a mirror row below your triple S look. Don't worship. Another trap, turning the log into punishment. If you miss a session, you don't write a confession. You run a tiny post-miss audit. Was it capacity, clarity, or context? Capacity means energy or time was shot. Adjust load. Clarity means you didn't know the next slice. Define it smaller. Context means the setting sabotaged you. Add friction or change location. Then you're back to the next block. No moralizing. Here's a shortcut nobody teaches. Credit partials. If you planned 45 minutes and did 20, mark session as P and log the slice and signal anyway. Partial credit keeps streaks realistic and preserves identity as a practitioner, not a perfectionist. Over a month, partials prevent the all-or-nothing crash that kills momentum. For teams, use a 2-column demo, skill and impact. In stand-up, each person names 1 skill slice they advanced and 1 impact signal they saw. This normalizes learning in public and reduces optics theater. Leaders, respond to the skill. Social support that fuels intrinsic drive. We've rebuilt your engine and your systems. Now let's install the fuel line, people. The right kind of social support amplifies autonomy, competence, and relatedness, which is exactly what self-determination theory says drives sustainable motivation. The wrong kind turns you into a performer again. So we're going to design relationships that make you braver, not louder. Start with roles, not vague accountability. You need 3 distinct allies. A craft mirror, someone who gives clear, behavior-level feedback that grows competence. They talk about the work, not your worth. A boundary bodyguard, someone who protects your autonomy in real time. Do you actually want this meeting? And backs your no. A human anchor, someone who knows you beyond output. They remind you you're already enough, then ask, what would help? Here's how to put them to work without creating a new scoreboard. Use the car cadence, agreements, ritual. Cadence, schedule light, frequent touchpoints. 10 minutes weekly with your craft mirror to review 1 slice and 1 signal. 5 minutes midweek with your boundary bodyguard to check your offstage design is holding. 1 unscored hang or voice note with your human anchor, connection with no deliverable. Agreements, set rules that protect intrinsic fuel. With your craft mirror, the rule is feedback about the work only, no global judgments. With your bodyguard, you can call me out on yesies I'll regret. With your anchor, you can't ask me about numbers unless I bring them up. Ritual, make it predictable and small so it survives stress. For the craft mirror, use a 1-pager. Context, goal, slice practiced, signal observed, 1 question. They answer that 1 question, you don't wander. For the bodyguard, send a daily 2-line check. Offstage block booked. YN1 boundary enforced. What was it? For the anchor, exchange a nightly rose/thorn. 1 good, 1 hard, no fixing. Now, before we continue, a trap to avoid. Accountability groups that grade each other. Pressure spikes introjection. You'll chase checkboxes to avoid embarrassment. Keep the focus on practice and learning signals. If someone shames, they're off your team. You're designing greenhouse conditions, not a courtroom. Let me show you exactly how this looks on a project. You're drafting a strategy memo. Monday, you and your craft mirror agree the slice is problem statement clarity. You send 3 versions, they highlight which one landed and why. Wednesday, your bodyguard asks, which meeting can you decline to protect the deep block? You cancel one status call, replace it with a 10-minute async update. Friday, your anchor gets a voice note about one human you're helping with this memo. You ship with less anxiety because competence grew, autonomy held, and relatedness stayed human. Micro story, a lead engineer I coach swapped a public wins channel for a tiny craft circle, 3 peers, weekly 12-minute reviews. Rule, 1 slice, 1 signal, 1 note. Within a month, their experimentation rate went up because the room felt safe. Same people, different agreements. Intrinsic fuel returned because autonomy and competence had air. Use the 3-question invite to recruit your allies. Would you be my craft mirror for 8 weeks? 1 slice a week, 10 minutes, work-only feedback. Can I deputize you as my boundary bodyguard? Ask me daily which no, I said. Can we do a weekly unscored check-in? No metrics, just life and what matters. Common mistakes, choosing only senior mentors. You want peers who are close enough to your problems to give fast signal. Mixing roles in one person. Keep them separate so each need gets clean attention. Turning support into therapy for avoidance. Each touchpoint ends with, what's your next right move? Quick win, today send 2 DMs. Ask one person to be your craft mirror for a single slice next week. Ask one person to be your boundary bodyguard for 5 days. Keep it experimental. When the support is designed to feed autonomy, competence, and relatedness, you don't need more hype. You get more honest work with less noise. High-pressure seasons, staying decoupled when stakes spike. Big launch, board review, finals week, family crisis. This is where decoupling either holds or snaps. The goal isn't to feel calm, it's to stay authored. Pressure narrows attention, so we'll simplify to a field kit you can actually use mid-storm. 3 layers, pre-commitments, in-the-moment moves, and post-event resets. Keep your worth fixed, then run the play. Pre-commitments start before the season begins. First, write your non-negotiable constant. My worth is settled, this is craft. Put it at the top of the dock you'll live in. That line isn't motivation, it's a decision that prevents last-minute bargaining. Second, set Tier A and Tier B routines for identity. Tier A is your normal process. Tier B is the storm version that still expresses who you are when time compresses. Creator Tier B, 5 bullets, 1 paragraph, publish a note. Leader Tier B, 1 decision memo, 1 difficult conversation, 1 appreciation. Engineer Tier B, write a test, refactor 1 function, 1 commit. Third, define your offstage windows on the calendar, 45-minute sandbox blocks with analytics closed. During high stakes, exposure creep is relentless. Offstage is your oxygen. Now, agreements with your support roles. Ask your boundary bodyguard to enforce 1 daily no. Ask your craft mirror to focus on 1 slice per day, not the whole artifact. Ask your human anchor to avoid metrics talk unless you bring it up. These agreements preserve autonomy, competence, and relatedness when you're too flooded to advocate for yourself. In the moment, run a simplified stack. Bolt, breathe, orient, lay out, take the next piece. Breathe 3 rounds, inhale 4, exhale 6. You're lowering threat enough for thinking to return. Orient, name context and value. Board deck, 90 minutes left, value is clarity and stewardship. Layout, list the smallest increments that matter. Problem statement, 3 drivers, 1 ask, risks. Take the next piece, pick 1 slice that moves the whole, usually the opener or the decision. Set a 25-40-minute timer. Close everything else. Start. Keep the ABCD loop tight. Assume worth is already set. Build skill by narrowing scope, rewrite the opener, tighten 1 metric, rehearse 1 answer. Choose exposure intentionally, do a 10-minute readout with your COO before the room or a private code review before team review. Debrief immediately after each microsprint. 2 lines, what improved, what's next. Now here S where most people mess up. They mistake urgency for utility and widen the audience too soon. High-pressure seasons make you crave reassurance, which often equals more eyes and opinions. That spikes threat and derails autonomy. Keep version 1 intimate. Concentric circles only. Use fierce compassion to cut bloat. Ask, what can die without hurting the purpose? Kill extra slides, edge case flourishes, or features that add risk. Tender compassion covers the human cost. Hydrate, stand up, 90-second breath between sprints. Self-care isn't a reward, it's capacity management. For communication, install the 3-line brief: context, decision, rationale. We're choosing X for deadline Y because Z impact. This trims performative language and keeps your identity off the stage. If someone pushes for more, add 1 risk and 1 mitigation. Done. When the meeting or launch hits, run the 3-minute reset before you go on. Minute 1, breath and posture. Minute 2, right value served and smallest next move. Minute 3, boundary, mute notifications, choose your opening sentence, go. You're not chasing confidence, you're minimizing self-attack and clarifying action. During Q&A, buy autonomy with micropauses. Give me a beat to pull the clearest data. Then answer in a DRA cadence: data, reason, action. Data, conversion dropped from 4.1% to 2.7%. Reason, specificity likely reduced curiosity. Action, testing benefit-led headline by EOD. You're demonstrating competence without performing worth. If surprise hits, a bug, a curveball question, switch to the failure protocol light on the fly, ground with 1 breath, frame the issue small, signal 1 hypothesis, name 1 skill next step, share who will own it. We're seeing a crash on iOS 17. Frame, only on older devices. Signal, memory leak in the new component. Skill, hotfix patch and test on 2 devices. Share, Nina owns, update in 45. Clear, calm, authored. Post-event, do a fast reclaim ritual to prevent the shame hangover. 10 minutes solo, write 1 win of craft, 1 lesson, 1 thank you to a collaborator, 1 boundary you kept. Then schedule a 30-minute offstage recovery block, walk, stretch, no dashboards. If there's a miss, schedule a full failure protocol within 24 hours. You're converting heat into skill while the loop is fresh. Finally, set a season exit. 2 weeks after the peak, run a 30-minute retrospective. Where did your tier B hold? Where did Offstage leak? Which agreements saved you? Upgrade your templates and scripts now. High-pressure seasons become training blocks when you codify what worked and protect it before the next wave. The 1 rule checkpoint: identity first, output second. This is the checkpoint you'll use when things get noisy. Identity first, output second. If you remember nothing else, run this single question before big choices, hard days, and tempting metrics. What's the behavior that expresses who I am, regardless of the number? Ask it out loud. You're switching from performing to practicing. Here's the tight version of the play. First, set the constant. My worth is settled, this is craft. You've used that line all video, but now it becomes policy. Second, name your present tense identity in 1 sentence. I'm a builder who reduces uncertainty. I'm a creator who publishes useful ideas. I'm a leader who makes decisions simple. Third, choose the smallest behavior that proves it today. If the calendar explodes, drop to tier B, the storm routine that still expresses your identity. You keep authorship under pressure. Now apply the filter to decisions. New project. Identity first asks, does this let me practice my values and skills, or am I chasing optics? Feedback. Identity first asks, what slice grows my craft, not my ego? Metrics spike or sink. Identity first asks, what behavior stays the same either way? That's stability. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer. Use the 3 C's to keep it honest. Constant, circle, cadence. Constant is your worth line, visible at the top of the dock you live in. Circle is your concentric exposure plan, Sandbox, small circle, public. Cadence is your review rhythm, weekly competence review, not panic refresh. Together, they protect autonomy, competence, and relatedness while you still ship. Let me give you a 1-minute checklist you can run every morning. Worth line writ, YN. Identity sentence read aloud, YN. Today's tier A or tier B chosen, AB. 1 behavior logged on the calendar, YN. 1 human selected for feedback or support, name. If you hit 3 out of 5, you're in authored mode. If not, you're drifting into performance mode. Tighten your circle, shrink your slice, protect 1 offstage block. Do it now before urgency steals the day. Common pitfalls here: swapping identity for labels. VP isn't an identity, it's a title. Identity is behavior you can do on a bad day. Next, using the checkpoint only when you feel calm. The point is to use it when you don't. Finally, letting metrics veto your identity. Numbers are mirrors, they can't set your name. Identity first, output second isn't anti-ambition. It's how ambition stops eating you. You'll still chase big goals. Now you're fueled by autonomy, competence, and relatedness, not shame. That's why you last. Key takeaway: anchor worth as a constant. Practice an identity through small daily behaviors and let metrics inform craft, not define you. If this helped, subscribe for the advanced playbook. Next up, I'll break down live examples of recoding goals and running the failure protocol in real time. Drop a comment with one identity sentence you're committing to this week, and share this with a friend who needs their engine back.